Hello, and welcome to After Hours. Sadly, this will be one of our last shows, so we'd like to spend this time discussing an important topic. And what could be more important than freedom of speech and freedom of expression? And this can also be a controversial subject at times as well. So here to share her story with us is Susan Takata. And Susan is a former transgendered, and she is with Voice of the Voiceless and Parents Heart. Welcome to the show, Susan.
Thank you so much.
Now, did I say that correctly? You were transgendered?
Well, okay,
transgender.
we need to actually explain that, because depending on who you talk to, they'll have misunderstandings. I thought I was supposed to be male. I was born a female, and I thought I was supposed to be male, and I actually thought that way for about 30 years. But when later on I began to explore why I felt that way, and so anyways, after I realized that I was supposed to be a female and began on the healing and the recovery of the way that I was feeling, I realized that this is a topic that needs to be talked about, because transgendered is not the same as transvestite. It's not the same as cross-dresser, and that's always a revolving definition in a lot of ways. And so I thought I was supposed to be a male. I was born a female, but I realized that I am supposed to be a female, and I love it. So I would consider myself ex-transgendered. Okay. And a transgendered person could be somebody that's either pre or post-operative a person. And anyways, the reason why I was talking about the Voice of the Voiceless is because in 1996, when I had been 6 years into understanding why I felt the way that I did, the whole school board issue came up with the Surrey School Board, and the parents were talking about the issues being brought up in school back then.
Now, wait a minute. Now, this is issues with regards to some children.
The two parents,
almost transitioning, feeling they were transgender.
Well, more of it was more about talking about the gay issue, the homosexual issue, and being taught in the school. At that time, I felt as if that I needed to sort of get away from the issue, and I went to the downtown East Side, went back and helping the homeless for a number of years. So, and in about the year 2001, I began to think and realize, hey, there's not a lot of people, or not a lot of organizations for people like myself who felt like they were supposed to be male, or in the wrong body, or felt like they were supposed to be the opposite sex, and there's not really any place really for them to really talk, except for the secular places. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, Voice of the Voiceless. I mean, now the gay community, LGBTQ, whatever, they have, they're given a voice, and so are the people that feel transgender.
That's right.
So Voice of the Voiceless, who is it representing?
Okay. I was
people who were transgendered, but
I was just getting to that. So about 2011 or 2012, 2013, I began to see whether there were other people that were feeling the same way that I was, that there wasn't enough voice for people like myself to come.
So, what, to be transgendered? To feel transgender?
No,
to
talking
live
about their journey out of
Okay, so
the
this
transgender
is
area.
this is the point we need to make.
Yes.
So
yes.
this is Voice for the Voiceless, is for people who would like to leave
No.
a transgendered lifestyle?
No. What the Voice of the Voiceless is that, so in 2013, I was looking to see if anybody was doing anything.
Doing anything for
there's the Gay Pride Parade.
Yes.
I was wondering if there was people doing for ex-gay issues. And so I looked on YouTube, and then I found a group of people that were trying to have an ex-gay pride parade.
So these are for people who were living a gay lifestyle, and they've come out of a gay lifestyle, and they're pursuing a heterosexual lifestyle.
Yes, but the Voice of the Voiceless, so I went down and I said, well, I have to meet these people. So the Voice of the Voiceless is an organization that's made up of pastors, they're made up of counselors, teachers, some of them are ex-gay. There's a doctorate, a guy with a doctorate in nuclear, in physics there, and so there's all sorts of different people, and I'm the lowly security guard, but there's all sorts of people, different people on the advisory board. What we're trying to do as Voice of the Voiceless is because as I was going down there to Washington D.C. and I met up with this group, what they're doing is they're trying to make sure that for those of us that have come out of the lifestyle or found out that there was different reasons why we thought we were transgendered, slowly those voices are being silenced, and that's through legislation and through the LGBT who. Yes, they do have their rights, but we also need to keep up our rights to be able to say that we have come out of that lifestyle. And slowly it's come as slowly it's come that, okay, we can't say that we have come out of that lifestyle without being...
So your experiences, your opinions are being stifled.
Yes. Very
by the by the lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans community?
That's a part of it, yeah. That's a part of it. But a lot of it is...
and by the government?
Well, a lot of it is misinformation that people do have, and but also there's the government making policies and instituting policies to gradually try and silence us, even though they don't say that they're silencing us, but they're doing in the name of free speech for the LGBTQ, or now it's X, Y, and Z and all that stuff. But it's slowly we're being told that we are not, we are hate mongering. Slowly we're being told that we're saying that we were able to get out, or that we have chosen, or there's something wrong with us.
But I think a lot of that too could be because, like your group in particular, and I'm sure the majority of the groups that are similar to the groups that you're involved with are Christian-based, right? And we've seen.
But there's all sorts.
So they're saying you're basically. Excuse me for that. I'm just going to throw this out there.
Okay.
I think what they're saying is you're Christian-based, you're pushing your Christian agenda, right, on people that want to live an alternative lifestyle, when all you're basically saying is, we did live an alternative lifestyle. We've chosen not to. We've changed how we feel about ourselves has changed inside.
Yeah.
We need to have a right to be able to say that.
Yeah.
And that's not hate speech,
That's
to be
not
able
hate
to
speech,
express how you feel inside and what your personal experience has been.
But it's not just Christian-based. There was a group called Jonah, and they're Jewish in the United States, and they were told to shut down. And actually, through the courts, that they were effectively shut down.
Really?
Yeah. And so it's not just Christian-based. No.
I see. But there again, it's still religious based in a way. There aren't too many, I guess, that are. And why is that? Is it the Judeo-Christian groups that are reaching out to people who are not 100% certain if they are transgender or what kind of lifestyle they want to lead?
Even the Voice of the Voiceless, our founder, one of our founders, he actually doesn't reach out to say, you have to get out of the gay lifestyle. He lets people come to him and say that we want to get out of the, we want to find out why we're feeling the way that we do, right?
I see.
Yeah.
So you're basically looking inside and going back and seeing if there's something that you've missed in your personality makeup or something. I don't want to make it sound though that living an alternative lifestyle is like an illness or a sickness or anything.
As a matter of fact,
if people want to question that,
well, also it's a matter of fact, the Voice of the Voiceless. If you go to our website, will give you study after study that would counteract some of the studies that they're actually quoting. As a matter of fact, that there's studies. It's not just to how we feel, but it's actually the studies that have been done that show.
I'm sorry, you're talking about scientific studies.
Scientific studies, yeah. And you have to watch when you're, this is one thing I did want to say, is that when you're on the internet, and they do have scientific studies out there, and now that the code word now is fake news, right?
Right.
And years ago I was introduced to that because a lot of the scientific studies out there are not scientific at all. Actually, when you look at the research and when you look at the impetus of the study that was done, you'll see that there might have been financial backing for sponsorship by the LGBTQ, and so there are
the whole study is
why.
slanted.
Slanted, yes. And even if the person is not gay themselves, there might be a reason for them to reach the conclusions that they have. Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
And so at some point, you had, from a very early age, felt that you were a woman living, a man living, in a woman's body.
Yeah.
And then you went in for, was it a counseling, or what was it that made you really question?
I just wanted to find out who I really was. And I realized myself that there were things that I was believing about myself that were not true. Right. And some of it was environmentally instituted within my own beliefs. Some of it was, as we were discussing the other day, that marketing and TV, how some ads were marketing towards, gender-specific. So when you're a kid and you constantly are fed by ads that, boys like Hot Wheels, boys like this and boys like that, you're going to think, well, hey, I like that, so maybe I'm supposed to be a boy.
So,
even as a 3-year-old kid, I was doing that. And Barbie dolls are for girls, and girls like Barbies and these stuff like that. So you get all that fed into your system, and with the way that you're feeling about yourself already and your cultural upbringing, that could all play into all this.
And you came from a very traditional Japanese family structure.
Yes.
And that must have been very difficult when you were really questioning or really thinking that you should have been born
but I
into
was
a different
not
body.
told. I was not told that. I found this out later. But in a lot of Japanese, the olden days Japanese culture, families, they would prefer the youngest to be a male and the oldest to be a female. And now I was the youngest in my family, and I felt like I was supposed to be the son. And I came out of a family of 3 girls.
No boys.
No boys.
So your father, I guess, was hoping for a male, as the last child, and
Maybe, yeah.
maybe in some way you were.
Yeah, and plus my cousin that was almost the same age as me was a male on top of that. But the funniest thing is 20 years later or 30 years later when I was in the group, there was a guy that came in, he's Japanese, and he was the oldest child, and he thought he was supposed to be a girl.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
and we never knew each other, and we never knew that about our own cultures until we started.
So how did you decide to come out of being transgendered, or out of an alternative lifestyle? Was that a matter of, what was it that really spurred that on? You really questioning why you felt the way you felt?
And also...
And was it true?
Yeah, also, was it true? Yeah.
Asking, is it true?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it true that I was not born?
So I was given the right to question. And you see, that's the problem with what's happening with the school board policies. Now,
yeah, because actually, I guess is it Parents' Heart or is it Voice of the Voiceless that is involved with the
Parents' Heart? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but you see, the school boards. This is not a new topic. I know that, but even the school boards, they're trying their best to be able to cope with everything, right? And they probably have just as much information as the normal person,
right?
And they're just trying to cope. But what they've done though is that they've taken out, because they've introduced things so early. Like right now, from kindergarten onwards, they're beginning to introduce all this.
The possibility of transgenderism.
Doing the transgender issue.
For basically toddlers.
And right now they're even telling the kids, showing the kids how to advocate for themselves with that. So what I'm just saying is at the age of 6, if a kid comes up to a teacher and says, I think I'm supposed to be a boy, the teacher is supposed to just begin to call them like a boy's name. And that's very dangerous because I don't know if you remember that even when we were kids, we were allowed to question stuff. I know that you didn't have a struggle with this, but you were allowed to question stuff about yourself too, right? And so what they've done in the school system right now is they've kind of taken that out in a lot of ways. And now they're like, well, because if somebody actually comes up and says, well, I think I'm a boy, they'll start them on a track of, oh, well, looking at that issue.
Right.
And they
and
do
rather
say,
than just let them be children.
Yeah.
If they say they want to be a boy, well, if it's a 4-year-old and next week they say, I want to be a goldfish. Okay, then we're going to call you Guppy. I mean, kids are kids. I think maybe sometimes, and I understand that the school is trying to, there's a huge range of topics that they try to be okay with and have their curriculum encompass different types of people. Yeah. But I do believe myself personally that kids should be kids, and then that's why there's an age of majority where once they hit a particular age, if they really feel the need to change their gender, then let it be then. But I don't know. But that's just my personal opinion.
They do follow certain protocols for that, right? They're not going to just say, well, okay, type of thing. But the problem what I have with the protocols is that the professionals that they hire, all these people that they look for information is all very one-sided, very, very slanted. So, for instance, if a person like myself wants to go into the school system and talk, it's very difficult in a lot of ways. I am open to it, by the way, and I've always been open to it, but it'd be very difficult. So it's because of that, that's why I'm speaking out about it, because it shouldn't be one-sided, and it doesn't have to be one-sided.
So you're saying that right now, all of the arguments and all the speakers represent a pro-transgender.
Yes.
And there is nobody who has decided to live a different lifestyle other than transgender, or who's been transgender and has come out of it, that is allowed to speak and present
or
their
they won't say
experiences.
They won't say that you can't, but what they'll say is they'll kowtow the idea about it. Like for instance, I was at a school board meeting a few weeks ago, and they're like, "Oh, we have our professionals to look after that," and and I've asked them for the name of the professionals so that our group can do some study about who they are, about where they're getting their information from, and I haven't really heard from them.
So they're not saying who their professionals are.
No, and I'm going to give them a little bit more time to come up with that list. And as you know too, like
because if you're basing your structuring things based on the professionals who are maybe 4 or 5 that all have the exact same background and the same worldview, you're not hearing from other people outside. You're not really hearing the full story, right? And it's all about being able to express your opinion.
Yes.
And be different. And you know,
more than once.
The argument for many years was, as far as gay, lesbian, transvestites, they wanted the right, and everybody should have the right to be able to express themselves.
That's right. Nobody should be killed for their beliefs. Like, it horrifies me to see people that are being killed in other countries because they're gay. That horrifies me. I don't believe that's right.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. But
there are also Christians being killed in other countries because they're Christian.
That's true. And also, though, myself, I would say, I wouldn't mind coming in and talking to your kids. And, their expression is, we have to protect our kids.
From somebody who has come out of being transgender.
Yeah.
And, yes.
Now, this is a really sad story.
There's no equal time.
But this is a really sad story because there is bullying going on, and there's a lot of people that have been bullied because they were transgendered. I was very, very fortunate in that in school that I was not bullied, right? But there's a lot of people that were bullied and that are being bullied. But I got to tell you that they are not more, and some of them have committed suicide. But people that are overweight, they get bullied also. And so people that have visual problems, like I have a visual problem, we get bullied. They get bullied. So when I approached the school board and said, can we just make it a general anti-bullying policy for everybody, they kind of just said, no, it has to be for transgender, And so I just say, well, then you're putting that type of bullying ahead of everybody else, and that's wrong.
And do you think that maybe, I see things swinging back the other way in terms of free speech and freedom of expression. So now, if you are talking pro anything that's been taboo in the past, you are given 100%, 100% support. Should you have a differing point of view, and it's not meaning that you're shoving it down anyone's throat or anything. You're basically not allowed to express it.
That's true.
And do you see that maybe in terms of mainstream media, in terms of government, in terms of all of these institutions, schools and everything, you're seeing that people that have a point of view that differs from things that were taboo in the past, being pro transgender or pro, whatever, that were being shut down.
And what I have to just say is that don't just take my word for it. There's plenty of proof on the internet that there is all these policies happening. Like for instance, I was born in Vancouver, and I went through the school system in Vancouver in the 60s and the 70s, and you did too, I think, right? Didn't you? Yeah. So we have to not take it for granted that those same school systems are the same. when I came back to
We have
looking
just
at
a couple
this,
minutes left, so we'll
sorry, when I
wrap it
came
up.
when I came back to dealing with this issue, I found out that the school system is totally changed, and we need to. So what you have to do is go to the Vancouver School Board website or whatever your city is, and look at what the school boards are being brought forth with their policies. And they're hoping that nobody will notice. It might be just like a few days notice that you get that that they're going to put this policy in or making an amendment to the policy.
So it's kind of like the old story, how do you cook a frog? You know, you put him in a pot of cool water and you very slowly turn the heat up. And then over enough time, he's cooked before he knows it.
Yes, and you got to go for the government stuff, go to the BC legislature or go to the government of Canada, look at the Hansard reports, the transcripts of what goes on in the Senate, in the House of Commons. You will see all these bills that are just trying to be pushed forth regarding the transgender issue, the bathroom
Which
issue.
is great. Which is great to be pro-transgendered, but what about the people who have come out of it?
I have a friend of
like
mine-
you. You've come out of it, and now,
Yeah.
you know, you want to talk about what that's like coming out.
And I have talked to Jody Wilson-Raybould about the amendments that she is proposing, and the amendments that she is proposing sounds good, but when you really look into what she's promoting with the code of conduct and the criminal code, you will also see that she is also shutting down people that may have access to reports of incidents that are happening in bathrooms, in the transgender bathrooms. She is actually shutting them up, inadvertently, I guess, maybe. But a friend of mine had worked in the States, but she had said that she wants to be transparent about all the incidents of rape and abuse that goes on in these transgender bathrooms, and she got fired.
Now, is this because there are people who are saying they're transgendered and using it as an excuse to go in and possibly molest people, or?
It doesn't happen every day, but it does happen.
It has happened.
It has happened, yes. And even like in the co-ed housing situations, that it has happened, right? So people should be able to have the right to have transparency in their own organizations without fear of being fired.
For
that's
speaking
all
out
we
about
want.
anything.
And that's all we want, yeah.
And well, you know, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, it's in the Charter of Rights, and it says within reason.
That's
so
right.
at some point, and nobody knows exactly where that is, I've talked to a lot of different people, there is a line that as soon as you cross it, it's considered hate speech. So, you know, but basically at this point now, you folks are just looking for a voice.
Yeah, we're just making sure that our voice is still open.
Right.
You know? And so anyways, if people want to know the websites for the government where we can get the government actual transcripts and of all these different all these different subjects that are going through, policies that are going through, all you have to do is email me and I'll give you the links for both the states and for Canada.
And we are going to post your email up there. So if anybody has got some more questions, they want some more information, they can get that from you.
Yes.
Well, thank you for coming today and for discussing your experiences and telling us a little bit of your story.
Thank you.
And thank you.